I know this is not a very popular idea. You don't hear it very often anymore, but it's the truth. I have taken drugs before, and I had a real good time. Sorry. Didn't murder anybody, didn't rob anybody, didn't rape anybody, didn't beat anybody, didn't lose one fucking job, laughed my ass off, and went about my day. Sorry. Now, where's my commercial? Shit, I'll be the guy holding that skillet in that commercial, man. That ain't a brain, that's breakfast. Let's eat. I have had 7 balls of light come off of a UFO, lead me onto their ship, explain to me telepathically that we are all one and there's no such thing as death. But I've never looked at an egg and thought it was a fucking brain. Now, maybe I wasn't getting good shit, but that's what I hate about the war on drugs. I'll be honest with you. It's what I can't stand is all day long we see those commercials. Here's your brain on drugs. Just say no. Why do you think they call it dope? And then the next commercial is this bud's for you. Come on, everybody. Let's be hypocritical bastards. It's okay to drink your drug. We meant those other drugs. Those untaxed drugs. Those are the ones that are bad for you. Nicotine, alcohol, good drugs. Coincidentally, tax drugs. Ooh, how does this fucking work? Thank God they're taxing alcohol, man. It means we got those good roads we can get fucked up and drive on. Thank God they're taxing this shit, man. We'd be doing donuts in a wheat field right now. Thank God we're on a highway. Woo! This is a good drug. Because I'll tell you something, I'll be honest, man. If I were going to legalize a drug, it sure wouldn't have been alcohol. Sorry, there's better drugs and better drugs for you. That's a fact. You may stop your internal dialogue. But Bill, alcohol's an acceptable form. Shut the fuck up. You're wrong. Okay? Okay. Shit, man. Not only do I think marijuana should be legalized, I think it should be mandatory. I'm a hardliner. Think about it, man. You get in traffic behind somebody. Shut up and smoke that. It's the law. Oh, sorry, I was taking life seriously.
One of the important facets of the discussion should be what I call conspiracy theories. There are lots of folks out there, and there are books written on this by people who are in a position to know. Former DEA agents, former CIA operatives, things like that. And they tell stories about huge amounts of money, large-scale corruption in the big parts of government, etc. And are these stories true? And the answer is, of course, I don't know. I don't have access to any particular information more than anyone else does. However, ask yourself this question. If you're going to have $1 million in cash, how much corruption can you buy at any level for that $1 million? And the answer has to be quite a bit. The head of the DEA, his name is Rob Bonner, is a friend of mine throughout the first George Bush administration, said, documented that yes, the CIA was involved with importation of a fair amount of cocaine with regard to the Iran-Contra, etc. But it just has to happen because of the money.
Let me understand what you're saying. A ton of cocaine was smuggled into the United States of America.
Well,
in cooperation with the CIA?
That's exactly what appears to have happened.
Let's jump over to General Manuel Noriega in Panama. General Noriega was told by Bill Casey, then director of the Central Intelligence Agency, that he could have a free run with drugs into America, provided that he allowed us to support the Contras from Panama.
All of the drug czars since McCaffrey, or since Bill Bennett, who was the first one under these circumstances, they all do the same thing, they all talk the same way, they all give lip service to drug treatment, but when it comes down to it and the rubber meets the road, the only money that is spent is for incarceration.
The reason why we don't hear about the drug czar, and by the way, the drug czar is the son of General Vernon Walters, who was a great CIA hand during Iran-Contra, a great CIA player. John Walters is his name. We don't hear about it now because the drug business is doing exactly what it's supposed to do. The drug money is flowing, people are going to jail, the money's going through Wall Street, people are happy, it's not out of control, and everybody's looking the other way. And that's exactly the way they need it to be, because they cannot sustain not only the U.S. economy, but they cannot sustain the U.S. empire, the American empire, without those drug flows.
We have allowed the government to declare a war on drugs because the majority of Americans haven't known any better, and they haven't really understood that all of this is a massive deception. It's a massive profit scheme.
We must wage what I have called total war against public enemy number one in the United States, the problem of dangerous drugs.
They can't even keep drugs out of the prison system. You know, they have guys in prison that ODs and things of that nature, even in the home.
What's happening here in America is that our government is inadvertently supplying the hard drugs to the people in this country. Then they're putting the people who use them in this country in jail.
I've had two sitting congressmen tell me this. Jim, you're right. Most people in Washington realize that the war on drugs is not winnable, but it's eminently fundable. And people in government bureaucracy are addicted to the drug war funding.
Business does not want us to know that we can cure cancer forever at very low cost.
Dear old Donnie Rumsfeld, you know, our chief torturer, chief liar on 9/11, one of the chief liars, was the CEO of Searle Pharmaceuticals. Why would the pharmaceutical companies want you to be able to grow a plant in your backyard that might cure your menstrual cramps, might solve your headache, might give a terminally ill cancer patient you know, some chance at gaining some weight and having a tiny quality of life? If you can grow that in your backyard, there's no net profit for corporations, and we already know what net profit means to stock prices.
10 states have passed laws permitting the use of medical marijuana, but today the court ruled that the federal ban on marijuana supersedes those state laws. Polling has shown that a large majority of Americans consistently support the use of medical marijuana. Still, in a 6-3 decision, the justices said that federal authorities may prosecute sick people who use marijuana, even if it's at the direction of a doctor.
Ask yourself, what would happen if the United States of America or California or any of our states were to treat marijuana like alcohol? And the answer is 3 things would happen right away. All of them would be good. The first thing, and I'm in California, so I can talk about my native state. The first thing is that the taxpayers of California would save about $1 billion that they spend in 1 year alone to try to eradicate marijuana and prosecute and incarcerate nonviolent marijuana users. And by the way, marijuana is the largest cash crop in the state of California today, even though it is illegal. So you can tell how successful we are at that. Number 2 is grapes, by the way, if you care. The second thing that would happen is we could tax the stupid stuff and generate revenue of at least $1.5 billion every year just by the tax base. Now, already we have a change in our budget deficit in California alone for a year of about $2.5 billion. Imagine what we could do with that money. And the third thing, it seems to me, trumps the first 2. The third thing is we would make marijuana less available for our children than it is today. Why? Because the alcohol is regulated and controlled by the government, and illegal drug dealers, illegal marijuana dealers, control the sale of marijuana. And as a result, they don't ask for ID. Prohibition never works as well as regulation and control. That doesn't mean that we abandon our children to cocaine use or marijuana use or anything else, but as soon as you prohibit something, you give up all control. And now the only people in control are the illegal drug sellers, and they do want your 14-year-old daughter to get hooked on cocaine. Where did this policy come from? Unfortunately, I have conducted an inquiry into this, and I have determined that drug prohibition laws came for reasons of racism, empire building, and ignorance.
I mean, in Nixon's mind, I think drugs were associated with not liking Nixon.
But by 1970, recreational drug use was perceived as bad, and Congress didn't consider the right to use drugs a right protected by the Constitution, and banned marijuana in the Controlled Substance Act of 1970.
Nixon's new drug scheduling put marijuana in the most dangerous category, side by side with drugs like PCP, crystal meth, and heroin.
I knew that Jack Herer's book was going to become an underground classic. I knew it right away from the first time I saw the first edition.
People opened that book and said, you can make food out of hemp seed oil, you can burn it in a lamp, you can make rope, you can make parachute cordage and tie your shoes, and the Constitution was really printed on hemp paper. I mean, people love that.
In 1985, Jack published The Emperor Wears No Clothes. Since then, the book has gone on to become an underground phenomenon, selling more than 600,000 copies worldwide, and is now in its 11th edition. The first populist book of its kind, The Emperor Wears No Clothes, is part scientific document, part journalistic expose, and part holy crusade. It takes us on a journey of discovery that provides a caustic, sarcastic, and often irreverent look at the forgotten history and economic potential of the hemp plant. Written in simple and scholarly detail, its pages are filled with numerous articles, historical documents, photographs, and diagrams, along with the writings of poets, philosophers, and of course, the emperor himself. We learn of the thousands of commercial and therapeutic uses of hemp, and how hemp has been a significant part of our spiritual and cultural heritage throughout the ages. We discover how the hemp seed could again become a basic world food, and how no other single plant seed contains virtually all the nutritional elements necessary to maintain healthy human life. The Emperor Wears No Clothes explores in great detail Jack's most passionate beliefs, that biomass fuels derived from hemp can provide virtually all of the world's energy needs, eliminating the global dependence on our nearly depleted fossil fuels. That the systematic destruction of our environment can be dramatically reduced or even stopped by using hemp as the resource for fiber, fuel, and paper. The book makes the case for hemp as the world's savior, and Jack backs it up with a $50,000 offer to anyone who can prove him wrong. So far, he's had no takers. The book's credibility got a boost from Jack's discovery of this 14-minute documentary. Supposedly made by the U.S. government 5 years after the Marijuana Tax Act. Its purpose was to encourage farmers to grow outlawed hemp during World War II.
Man, who's hungry? That'd be a nice world, wouldn't it? Quiet, mellow, hungry, high people everywhere. Just Domino's pizza trucks passing each other. Every single highway, parades of Domino's. A fucking dreamer, man. But I'm not the only one. Pot is a better drug than alcohol. Fact. Fact. Stop your internal dialogue. But Bill, alcohol's... Shut up! You're wrong. Get over it. Okay? Okay. I'll prove it to you, man. You're at a ball game or a concert and someone's really violent and aggressive and obnoxious. Are they drunk or are they smoking pot? Which is it? They're drunk. I have never seen people on pot get in a fight because it is fucking impossible. Hey, buddy. Hey, what? Hey, hey. End of argument. If you believe drugs don't do anything good for us, do me this favor, will you? Go home tonight, take all your albums and tapes, okay, and burn them. Because you know what? The musicians who made all that great music are real fucking high on drugs. Shit, the Beatles were so high, they let Ringo sing a couple of tunes. Tell me they weren't partying.